Hello, spiritual entrepreneurs. I have a couple of pieces of information for you that I think are really important for those of you who identify as sole traders that have more than one Facebook business page. So if that's you, please listen in. If you've only got the one, then, feel free to listen in if you want to learn a little something about what not to do, because sometimes the temptation does rise. But certainly for those of you who already have more than one Facebook business page and you identify as a sole trader, please do listen in because this is specifically for you. So this happens a lot. I see a lot of people who are in the spiritual business world that have multiple passions, multiple skills, multiple qualifications. They are so multi-talented and curious and inquisitive and constantly growing and evolving and learning and expanding themselves, that they find that their offerings out into the world, whether they be products or services or a mixture of both, tend to diversify as time goes on. And whilst that is absolutely okay, it is up to you, and that's something that you could work on with a business coach in terms of the strategy behind that, because it can absolutely work. What I think is important to look at from a Facebook marketing perspective is if you are identifying, I said this at the beginning, but it's really important now, as a sole trader, i.e. you are the one making the products or you are the one delivering the services, then I want you to really consider having one Facebook business page. What I see happen a lot is there's service providers who also branch out and make products, or there's people who do products who also decide to add a service on top of it as well. This happens a lot in the spirituality space. We might offer Reiki, but then we also might sell crystals, or we might be an intuitive guide and we also do some sort of creative artwork, sort of tangible thing. We create an actual physical product rather than the service as well. And what I find a lot of people tend to do is they tend to, when that happens, create a separate Facebook page, a separate identity for that other part of their business, no matter which one it is. It always seems to feel like a good idea. Got a little ding. It always seems like a good idea to create a separate Facebook page for that separate thing, for that separate offering, whether that be a product, whether that be a service, whatever it is. And I want to go through a couple of reasons as to why I think that that's perhaps not the best idea. So an example of this is someone who, let's say you're an intuitive guide and you offer services in that space, and then you also create some form of artwork. Now, you are the provider of both of those, product and service, both of those things. If you go out and create a Facebook page for each of those, what that does is, the first thing that I want to speak to is it creates twice the work. And what I mean by that is two separate Facebook pages means that you have to come up with content for page A and for page B, and heaven forbid you have page C, and it does happen, and there are multiple pages, more than two sometimes out there. But what that means is that you're having to create the content twice if you're duplicating the content, which I don't recommend. You definitely don't want to be just using the same content. Why duplicate it and have it on two separate pages? There's no point. So if you're not duplicating it, then what you're having to come up with is twice the amount of content. And let me tell you that I have one Facebook business page, and ain't nobody in my space got more time in the world to do this, like to create more content than just one page. One page is enough. So what I suggest is that if you are in that space where you've got two Facebook pages, I want you to seriously consider consolidating them. And this is called merging pages, and it can be done from the settings section of your Facebook business page. You merge the one that you don't want to keep with the main one. Now, as soon as I said this to people, people are like, oh, what happens? What do I lose? What do I get to keep? So the likes merge, but the content on the page that is the one that gets merged into the other one, you will lose that content. You can, there is an option in there to download all the files and whatever, but seriously, are you actually going to do anything with those? I did actually do this many, many years ago for a client, and none of the old content ever got used. It's not a thing. There might be the odd thing here and there that you want to save and keep copies of, absolutely. But chances are you could probably afford to just cut your losses and just merge the two pages. Because creating twice the amount of content for two separate pages is going to cause you a lot of stress. And what happens, generally speaking, is it tends to cause a little bit of friction between the entrepreneur and Facebook. Not Facebook as a person, as an entity, but the friction is this person is kind of frustrated at Facebook and feeling overwhelmed by it, and they tend to just bail out more often than not. Sometimes they do manage to kind of plod along and put stuff out here and there, but it's not really consistent. It's kind of mediocre at best. And what happens is they end up taking this beautiful platform that is available to us for free and not taking advantage of it, because when they sit here with that blinking cursor of doom to come up with content, not only do they have to do it for one page, they've got to come up with some other stuff for the other page, which is maybe the artist page or whatever. And it's just so much, and it's too much. And this is where we end up with multiple pages that lay dormant for a lot of people. Not always, but for a lot of people. So I highly encourage you to consider merging the two pages. One of the other things, in case I haven't already sold the case and sold my point yet, one of the other things that I want to mention as well is about the reach. So there's people, if you're a sole trader, you are your business. You as the person, whether it's the product or the services that you provide, you are your business, right? And that doesn't matter whether you have teams and virtual assistants and things like that. If you're a sole trader, it's you, baby. So people are coming to you. They want you. You're the main attraction. You are the key part of your business, right? So when you have multiple pages, let's say you've got a few hundred here and you've got a few hundred there, chances are there's going to be a bunch of people who are on both pages, but there's going to be a group of people that are only going to like this one or are only going to like that one. And that could be for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons could be they simply don't know that there's another page available. They like your business page. That must be the only one that's there. It could just be simple naivety that they have absolutely no idea that there is another page out there. And what that then means is that they're missing out. They're potentially going to miss out. And what I think is important to note here is it's difficult enough to get your Facebook business page into the news feeds of the people who like it and into, the news feeds of others. Why on earth would you set yourself up to have two separate audiences and having to, a chunk of people here seeing it and then, the rest are missing it, and a chunk of people here seeing it and then missing it? Why would you set yourself up to that? Why would you not give yourself the best possible chance of reaching the most amount of people by having all of your likers all together and all seeing the same set of content, which is which is an accumulation of all of it. Your intuitive guide services, your artwork, whatever products and services that come into your scope of offerings out to the world, put them all together. And I was talking about this to a beautiful third level graduate in the alumni community for the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence third level a little while ago, not that long ago now. And we were having this conversation, and I gave her an example about, she was talking about how she wasn't sure about her one thing, and so she had to be, have this representation of this thing that she was experimenting with and working out that thing, and then this one over here because this was more representative of this. But what I said to her is, I said, think about the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence. There are so many things that you can purchase from the Institute. For example, they've got the Higher Power program. They've got the Initiate program. They've got the third level. And then for graduates of the third level, there's the postgrad. There's also a mentorship program as well for graduates. There is the alumni. There is so many different things. There is the magazine. There is all the magazine's free, but I want you to get the point here is that the Institute is about a multitude of different things. And whilst it's not a sole trader situation, all of those things fall under the one banner of the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence, creating a gold mine of content. So even if you're still working out what your one thing is and you're still getting really clear on your niche and your marketing and your message out into the world, do it on one page. Have one audience, have one page, and put it all together, because then everything is there and you've got more of a chance of your content reaching more people because everyone's there. So the idea with reach and engagement is it's kind of like they feed into one another. A post goes out and initially a bunch of people will see it. They're the reach. That's the reach. What happens out of that reach, we then have engagement, likes, comments, reactions, shares, whatever, yeah? And so that creates engagement. The more engagement a post gets, the more reach it's then going to have, because it says to the algorithm, oh, lots of people are interested in this. There's lots of engagement. It's a high quality post. There's lots of things happening and it's creating a lot of conversation, which is really important to Facebook. They're then going to show it to more people, and then therefore more reach, and then more engagement. And then it's a cyclical thing and it feeds into one another. So what you want to do is give yourself the best possible chance of having the most reach as you possibly can. And on top of all of that, if I still haven't convinced you, so many people that I come across who are working in the spiritual space struggle with structure. And can you imagine how much easier it would be to sit down for 1 hour a week and to plan out some content for your Facebook business page for the week ahead, and to do that week in, week out, only having to do it for one Facebook page? If you sat down and you did that and you had to come up with twice as much of that, you would need twice the amount of time, and you would need twice the amount of structure and discipline, because you want to kind of have a bit of structure around what you're posting about. And there's a whole other conversation there about the post categories that I think are really important. If you've got questions, if you've gotten to this part of the video and you're like, oh, what are the different categories that I should post about? Get in touch. I'll send you a link to the blog. It's sineadcarey.com/forgetting something. If you can remember that, go and find it. That's an article. It's a blog article. It's text-based rather than video like this one is. And it's all about the 5 different post categories that I think are really important for sole traders, especially for entrepreneurs in the online business world. And that applies to you guys as spiritual folk. So I think it's really important that you remember that I'm doing this for your best, doing it for your highest good. I can't get my words right. I'm telling you this for your highest good, because the number of people that have multiple pages, it's actually astounding. And I don't know how you guys keep up. I really don't. You're better off, if you're going to do 2 posts, do them on the 1 page, rather than doing it to 2 separate audiences and having to try to get the reach and all that kind of la la la. So hopefully by now I've convinced you. If you are sitting here going, oh God, I really need to merge my pages, and you're like, I don't really know how to do that, please do get in touch. We can book a 30-minute session. I can step you through the process. We could do it together live. It's entirely up to you. If you want a little bit of support with that, please do reach out and let me know. I don't want you to feel like you need to do this and you don't know how to do that and that stops you. Please, if you need the help, book in a session and we can organize that. So, to recap, if you have multiple business pages and you are a sole trader, please heed my advice and merge them. There are a few instances where it pays to have pages separate. For example, one of my fellow, again, 3rd level graduates, she has her own sole trader business and she's also got a store, like a physical shop. It makes perfect sense for her to have 2 separate pages, because the physical shop is something that she could potentially up and sell at some point in time. And so that's actually a separate entity to her sole trader business. So that's slightly different. There's employees and all that sort of stuff as well. So in that instance, it makes sense for it to be separate. So if you're not sure whether you should have 1 or 2, and heaven forbid more than that, Facebook business pages, please drop me a line. Let me know. Book a discovery call and do a 20-minute chat, free, obligation free, and talk about your specific circumstances and whether or not this is something that you need to kind of bite the bullet with and go ahead and get rid of that duplicate page and make your life a hell of a lot easier, liberate you from the overwhelm. Or if you're actually in a setup where that's going to work and that's going to be okay for you. So if you have specific questions about your circumstances, your unique circumstances, then please do reach out and get in touch. Let me know. We can book a discovery call. If you want to go ahead and merge them and you need a little bit of love and support, let me know as well. Get in touch. And if you have any other questions, as always, please do reach out. Send me a message on my Facebook business page and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Take care. Bye for now.